Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the video. My channel is Desert Rat 2000. My name's Mike, and today is going to be an unboxing, or I guess I should say an unbagging. I received a gift in the mail from one of my YouTube buddies, and it's the first gift I've ever got. So I'm really happy to share this with you guys. My friend's name is Joe. His channel is Bad Hombre Garage. He was trying to get his channel up to 500 subscribers, and then when he did, he was going to give a t-shirt away. And so he had a few criterias to meet for the giveaway, and one was that you had to be subscribed to the channel, and one of the other ones was that you had to comment on the videos, and finally you had to be an extra large. I just happen to be an extra large, so here we go. I'm going to pull this out, and here's the shirt here. And I got a nice little note from him as well. It talks about hoping that I enjoy the shirt. Thanks for being part of the community. He always talks about community, about building our community. And yeah, that's very important. And he's would like to get the Model A on the road for a few road trip videos when the weather gets a little better. He's got snow up there in Colorado now, so, and he tells me to keep up the good work on my channel too. So yeah, really a great channel. How I ended up finding Joe is as I was going through looking for videos. The first thing I saw, it's been over a year now, he was doing he had a slideshow on a 46 Dodge pickup that he had done before, and so it was before he was into YouTube, so there was just lots of slideshows of the build, and very nice, and it's still in the family. His brother drives that truck currently, and he was just starting on the 29 Ford Model A Coupe, and I think he was down to around maybe 20 subscribers when I started watching. It was about a year ago, and so I've watched every video, and it's just a really great build. I'm not gonna, no spoiler here, you guys watch it. Yeah, and so, well, without any more yakking away, I'm gonna put the shirt on. What do you guys think, huh? What a fit. Wow, that is cool. Thanks, Joe. Okay, so anyways, today's video is the gas gauge on the 53 Chevy has been giving me problems ever since I got that truck. I've had that about 4 months now, and so I decided to go ahead and, you know, get after it and figure out what's going on with it. So I'm going to take you guys up to the truck, and we're going to diagnose the sending unit and the gas gauge, and we'll figure out what's wrong with it, and then we'll go from there. Okay guys, so the first thing that we're not even checking the sending unit out here. We're just going to check the gauge. So first thing, on this particular gauge on this truck, there's two prongs in the back of it. One's keyed power from the key switch when it's on. It's the power side of it. The other prong goes back to the sending unit. So this is the end that's up underneath there on the gauge. And this right here is the end that goes back to the sending unit. So all I'm trying to do right now is figure out if the gauge is good or not. So we have to have a hot lead to it. In my case, it's 12 volts. So I turn the key on. The wire on the positive side of the gauge has to work. It does on my truck. And then so we're going to make this simple. You don't have to have the sending unit out of the truck to figure out if the gas gauge itself is good or not. Mine is out. We're going to do a test on it down there in a little bit. But so to test the gauge, once the key's on, we disconnect this lead going to the sending unit. The gas gauge will go down to E, if the gauge is good. And if you take this and ground it to the body, or a good ground, that completes the circuit. The gauge is going to go to full. That's how you can tell that everything from the keyed hot wire to the gauge and this wire back to the sending unit, everything's working good. So you could, at this point, you can walk away from the gauge. You're good there. But let's just say that when you ground this out, the gauge still stays on E. That doesn't necessarily mean the gauge is bad yet, because we have this wire. If this wire had happened to get pinched off somewhere and broken, then you're not going to get the gauge to go to full by grounding this end out. And on the other hand, if this wire ended up getting pinched and grounded, then the gauge is going to stay on full all the time, because it's going to have a solid ground. It'd be like if the tank was full or you grounded this side out. So if the first test doesn't show that the gauge works up and down like it should by grounding this, then before we go any farther, then we want to take a little jump wire with some alligator clips or whatever you got, go to that sending unit side of the gauge and just ground it out. That will eliminate this wire out of the loop altogether. And then if your gauge works as it should, then this wire to the sending unit is most likely your problem. You fix that and then try it. I've already done all this, and my gauge is definitely bad because it just sits on empty no matter what I do. So I've already pulled the sending unit, and we know the gauge is bad. I'm going to do the speedometer on this side here it's new, so it's like it got a new face on it. I'm going to do a refacing on all the gauges here. At that time, I'm going to buy the gas gauge 12-volt gauge for the truck and put it in, and then I'll have a working gauge in here. But for now, we're just going to go with a different gauge that's mounted under the dash. And just so you know, that this gauge comes, it's a stock gauge at 30 ohms for 12 volt. And so, okay, I'm going to go back downstairs here, and we're going to do a little test on the sending unit. Okay guys, so we've determined already that the gauge, the gas gauge in the truck is what's broke. Now, if doing that first test, if we would have grounded out that sending unit wire and things would have worked properly, we would have never had to take the sending unit out. That's a nice part about doing that test first. So, but because I know that I'm going to be putting in a different style sending unit with my temporary gauge, I went ahead and pulled this out. So I'm just going to do a little demonstration with the ohm meter on this. Now, I said that the gauge was for 30 ohms. It's really important that you match up the ohms on the sending unit for the gauge. Very important. So it's a 30 ohm gauge. This sending unit is 0 to 30, and plus or minus 5 ohms is okay. So in this I'm going to show you guys here as I cycle through this. I'm going to try to set this up so you can see the ohm meter right up on the top there. Hopefully you can read that. Now when I bring the sending unit down all the way to like empty, like right there, hopefully you guys can see that a little bit, then I'm down here in this, anywhere from 0 to 5 ohms is fine right here. As the sending unit goes, the gas gets filled up, there's halfway right there, we're up to about 20 ohms, and then when we go all the way to the top, it should go stop out at about 30 ohms. So that's matched to the sending unit in the dash of the truck. So the sending unit works fine. So when I do get my new gauge, I will just reinstall this sending unit, although I'll probably order it with a 0 to 30 sending unit, because the shipping is about half of what this half of what the sending unit is, so I may as well have a spare. So that's with this. So, and this measures much better with this older ohm meter with the dial on it. I have a digital one here, and it will read it. It's just that it would have been harder to set it up and to show you guys it, and it has to sit for a little while and it's find its own. On the read style, this is the way to go, and I've looked to see if I could find the read style sending unit that would be 0 to 30, and I so far have not been able to. This one here is 30 to 190, and this is how this one works right here. And it doesn't swing in the tank up and down. This reed just floats up and down. It starts out at 30 ohms down here, and then it gets to 190 here, and that is matched to this temporary gauge that I'm going with right here in the truck. And I have just made a simple little bracket that'll go underneath the dash for this gauge here. And this, the default setting on this particular, it's only about a $20 gauge. There's a mode button in the back, and its default was at the 30 to 190, so they're already paired up right now to go. I will do I'll set that up real quick and show you guys. I'm gonna make this into 2 videos, and I was gonna do that on the next one, but this one, it looks like I still got a little bit of time, so I'll go ahead and clean this area up a little bit and set that new sending unit up and go through it with you. Okay, I'll be back in just a sec. Okay guys, so I set up the new temporary system that I'm going to put in the truck, and this is like I said before, this is the reed float here. So right now I have this, I have all the wires. I have a hot wire running to the back of the gauge. The black wire actually goes to the positive side of the sending unit, and then the other wire gets grounded both at the gauge and at the sending unit. So I just brought that wire up and grounded that to the battery, so it's all wired up, ready to go now. So as the float comes down in the reed, you can see the gauge is starting to come down, and if it's empty, it should come all the way down to empty there. And there we go. So again, this it's matched. It's a 30-190 sending unit, and the default on this is the 30 to 190. There's several settings on here. So yeah, that's about it for this video. On the next one, we'll come back and do a second part, and then we'll go ahead and hook the new temporary gauge up. Well, thank you guys for coming over and watching the video, and really appreciate you guys. I'm going to put up a little link right here. It's not really going to be a link, but it's going to be Joe's channel, so you guys can go over and check him out. And we want to get him to 1,000 subscribers. The other day when he gave me the t-shirt, it's been about a week ago, I noticed he's already up another 100 subscribers. He did a little go-kart build with his kiddos, and that was, man, did that take off. That did good. Good job, Joe. Spend time with those kids. All right, so yeah, everybody be safe, and thank you for coming by.